Available in paperback at e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. A man has been arrested and charged with murder in connection with a woman whose body was dumped in the garbage in a sleeping bag in Kips Bay.
Thank you very much. We do have the breaking news to tell you about it. New York police have now charged a man with murder after a woman's body was found in a sleeping bag in Kips Bay.
Police had arrested Chad Irish on charges of concealment of a corpse. His charges have just been upgraded to murder.
Eyewitness News reporter Kimberly Richardson live in Gramercy Park with more on the new charges. Kim.
Well, yes, in the next 30 minutes or so, we do expect to see detectives lead Chad Irish out of this precinct, now charged with murder. The career criminal is expected to face a judge sometime tonight. For several days after this murder, after the discovery of Yasmeen Williams' body, Irish told folks in the neighborhood he had nothing to do with this. But one man had his doubts and dialed 911.
Murder suspect. New video shows more of the tense moments when a community shocked by the murder of one of their own unleashes its wrath on Chad Irish. The 55-year-old ex-con is a person of interest in the death of Yasmeen Williams, has already been charged with concealment of a corpse. Security video shows Irish, who is able to walk but often uses a motorized wheelchair, dragging what appears to be this same bundle down East 27th Street Friday. Inside was Yasmeen's body with a gunshot wound to the head wrapped in a sleeping bag.
It was the worst thing I ever seen in my life.
Antoine Fraser grew up here at the Strauss houses, where Irish also lives. 3 days after police discovered Yasmeen's body, Antoine confronted Irish in a nearby park.
I said, "What did you do to that young girl?" He said, "I didn't do nothing to the young girl. I just brung some laundry down that was stinking in my house to drop it off."
Irish insisted him having anything to do with the murder was a rumor. Antoine wasn't buying it.
I told him, I said, "You're a dead man. You shouldn't be around here." He said, "The next time you see me, you should be worried about me." That's when he brandished the gun.
Irish left, but a few hours later returned, and Antoine says flashed the gun again. He called 911 as Irish made his way back to the apartment building and got in the elevator.
Nobody wanted to be too much in front of the elevator, because he might shoot.
Police did catch up with Irish. Antoine was right there.
And he looked like he'd seen a ghost.
What followed this chaotic exchange for Antoine, all of this hits close to home.
I lost a sister to the streets too, left on the street to die.
And again, that new development, Chad Irish also now charged with murder. Authorities believe he committed that murder inside of his apartment, a same unit that detectives have been searching for the last couple of days. We will be here in place, and again, Irish expected to be brought out of this precinct in the next 30 minutes or so. We will bring that to you. For now, we're live in Gramercy Park. Kimberly Richardson, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Yeah.
Now, in this alleged incident that took place in Gramercy Park in Manhattan on 27th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue, 55-year-old Chad Irish allegedly was seen in his motorized wheelchair pulling a sleeping bag behind him on a dolly. Now, this sleeping bag, which had something in it that was suspicious, was allegedly dumped by Chad Irish in front of a building on 27th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue, and then Chad Irish went back to his home in some nearby projects in Gramercy Park. Now, people in the neighborhood became suspicious of this sleeping bag that was dumped in front of this building with the rest of the garbage and quickly contacted the NYPD. And when the NYPD came to investigate this sleeping bag that was stuffed with what they believed was something suspicious, the NYPD opened the sleeping bag and soon found the body of 31-year-old Yasmeen Williams with a bullet wound to the head. And after finding the sleeping bag, police began doing an investigation, and as they did an investigation, Chad Irish was seen as a possible suspect because he was the only one in the area known to be in the area that rode around in a motorized wheelchair, even though he was able to walk. And as people in the neighborhood became suspicious of Chad Irish's alleged behavior as related to the possible murder of Yasmin Williams, people began to ask questions, and one individual did ask him regarding the death of Yasmin Williams, and this is where Chad Irish allegedly pulled a gun on that individual, and that individual then contacted police, who, on doing their own investigation, quickly charged Chad Irish with concealment of a corpse as they took him into custody. And as the police looked to take him into custody for the alleged murder of Yasmin Williams, the entire community came out and attacked Chad Irish as he was being wheeled out on a gurney, because they thought he had issues with his legs, but he had no issues at all. He just used a motorized wheelchair to just get around. And eventually Chad Irish was taken into custody and first charged with concealment of a corpse, and then eventually was quickly charged with first-degree murder. Now, the NYPD see the death of Yasmin Williams as an isolated incident, but when I take a critical examination of the alleged events revolving around the death of Yasmin Williams, it definitely fits the pattern and profile for beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis, and Yasmin Williams' behavior definitely fits the pattern and profile of behavior of feminist indoctrinated women that I talk about in my book, The Woman Crisis. Now, Chad Irish basically is what I call one of these old Pookies, and an old Pookie is basically a beta male who has grown old but hasn't grown up, and in that time they basically have wasted their life by going and doing things like winding up going in and out of the prison system. And Chad Irish basically was one of these old Pookies who had been in and out of the prison system for the last 20 years, and as he has been in and out of the prison system, he just does not know how to function as a man or do things that would help him move his life forward and get his life in order. And sadly, what happened with Yasmin Williams as a feminist indoctrinated woman is that she followed the paradigm of the white feminist in being this strong, independent black woman who was single, successful, and well educated, who got her degree and got her job, but was not thinking critically about the company she was keeping. Now, when a woman is out here and she's again looking to move her life forward, she has to really think critically about the company she keeps, because that company can elevate her or that company can wind up dragging her down. And sadly, Yasmin Williams wasn't really, I believe, thinking critically about the company she was keeping, because she decided to get involved with Chad Irish in some way, shape, or form. And as she got involved with Chad Irish in some way, shape, or form, she basically got involved with this old Pookie. And as she got involved with this old Pookie basically, because he was raised possibly by single mothers, he basically had a whole dysfunctional mindset due to the way his single mother raised him. And as he saw Yasmin Williams going out here, going to college, getting her degree, and looking to start a city job, I believe that Chad Irish basically was secretly jealous and simmering and boiling in anger about Yasmin Williams, again, doing very well for herself and still being young, and that jealousy basically was the foundation for the anger that possibly motivated him to murder Yasmin Williams. And as this was going on, Yasmin Williams basically was involved with this man, and possibly because she had been indoctrinated into feminism, was in a paradigm of failure that I talk about in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, where she was getting involved with this Pookie, and as she got involved with this Pookie, basically was looking to, again, look to get involved with a man that she could have power over, because this was what was modeled to her by single mothers in the community, that the women had all the power and were in a leadership role. And as this relationship of some type went on, Chad Irish basically felt emasculated, and as he felt emasculated as a man and frustrated about being in the presence of Yasmin Williams, who was doing far better than he was, this is where Chad Irish basically was seething in anger, and eventually possibly there was some sort of argument or something went on, and this is where Chad Irish used this as an opportunity to basically take the life of Yasmin Williams and take her life and get the power back as a man that he never really had in his life. Because with beta males, oftentimes when they feel powerless in the presence of women, they oftentimes look to destroy those women because they want to feel a sense of power. And that's what I believe happened here with 55-year-old Chad Irish. This old Pookie basically felt emasculated in the presence of this single, successful, well-educated black woman, felt like this single, successful, well-educated black woman had more opportunity than he had, felt like this single, successful, well-educated black woman had more power than he had, and this basically possibly was the thing that led to him going from being extremely frustrated to becoming enraged. And as he became enraged, this is possibly what led to him looking to take the life of this woman. And as he took the life of this woman, he hoped to again get even with this woman and make her suffer, because he could have easily just called 911 when he basically allegedly shot this woman in the head, and let everybody know that, okay, he had an issue with this woman and this happened, and he would have just went to prison. But what this beta male did basically was looking to, again, humiliate this woman and take away her power by taking away her dignity as related to her death, take away her dignity as related to her death by stuffing her body inside of a sleeping bag, and then taking that corpse and dumping it in front of some garbage in front of the building. That was basically done because Chad Irish basically, again, wanted to show his contempt for Yasmin Williams, going out here and being the single, successful, well-educated woman who had a degree and had the audacity to go out here and get an education and get a job. This was what Chad Irish wanted to express his contempt for. He wanted to express his contempt for Yasmin, a black woman doing better than he was, and he wanted to make Yasmin suffer and make her family suffer by discarding her body like old refuse. And again, hoping that this would make a smooth world for him where nobody would really think it was him. However, in this 21st century, there's no way you can go out here and hide a body like that and make it look like you could just get away with it, because we have all of these security cameras around, and these security cameras basically created an open and shut case, not to mention a witness who he confronted with the firearm and let him know that this was the evidence of the gun that he used. Basically, Chad Irish was one of these old Pookies who basically wound up putting himself in a situation where he basically incriminated himself with all of his actions and all of his behavior. And Chad Irish will now be spending the last of his days possibly in Rikers Island and the rest of his life inside of a penitentiary at this point if he's convicted. And Chad Irish will be now returning to the penitentiary one final time, and he will be in that penitentiary dealing with not the freedom a man has, but dealing with being under the authority of the COs. And as he's under the authority of the COs and the social pecking order of Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, Big Dave, Melvin, and Mr. Sprinkles, for one final time, he will basically be inside of that penitentiary if he's convicted for the rest of his life. And there he will suffer far worse than what he did to Yasmin Williams. There he will suffer as Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, Big Dave, Melvin, and Mr. Sprinkles go out here and trade his old behind in the front side and the back side for Little Debbie snack cakes, ramen noodles, packets of Crystal Light lemonade, packets of Crystal Light tea, off-brand fruit punch, off-brand lemon lime drink, off-brand grape drink, off-brand apple juice, off-brand passion fruit drink, off-brand lemon cookies, off-brand Oreo cookies, off-brand duplex cookies, off-brand vanilla wafers, off-brand ginger snaps, off-brand sugar wafers, Hunt snack pack puddings, Kit Kat candy bars, Hershey bars, and all other and packets of beef, packets of tuna, packets of soy sauce, packets of sriracha sauce. I mean, he's going to be traded for all of the commissary one final time, and Mr. Sprinkles will be able to go out here and spray the front side and the back side for the remainder of his days, then call the guys over in Sing Sing in Cell Block D to check out this guy's backside as he splits the cheeks open and shows this dude's backside looking one final time like a Louisiana crunch cake. And this will be the ignominious end of Chad Irish, who basically, like many old Pookies, could not make life work because he never learned how to function as a man, never learned how to function as a man because he never had a father in his life, never had that father there to give him guidance and teach him male life skills and male survival skills. And because he didn't learn male life skills or male survival skills in the world, he's basically going back to the penitentiary where he will be broken down until the last days of his life, because after he wound up murdering Yasmin Williams and taking her life, this is basically his last chance. And again, he basically blew it, because at 55 years old and a life sentence, he's basically on the road to dying in prison, and dying in prison for taking the life of a young woman who really didn't understand what she was doing out here. Yes, she got a college education, but sadly, because she didn't have female life skills or female survival skills to understand that you have to be very careful about the company you keep, what she did was get involved with an old Pookie, not understanding that getting involved with Pookie puts you on a road to a paradigm of failure, because Pookie is a man who really doesn't know how to be a man, doesn't know how to lead himself, and in many cases women want to get involved with Pookie because they think that he is somebody they can get power over, not understanding that Pookie is very frustrated about being emasculated, and that frustration about being emasculated basically makes this man a ticking time bomb, and all it takes is one argument to set this guy off, because he has the physical strength of a man and the emotions of a woman, and he acts impulsively, and because he acts impulsively, what he will do is put you in a situation where your life is in jeopardy, because this man doesn't understand the value of his intangibles of manhood, like his health, his safety, and most importantly, his freedom. When it came to Chad Irish, he didn't understand the value of a man's freedom, and because he didn't understand the value of freedom, this is why he is no longer free for the last time. He's no longer free for the last time because he spent years going out here getting in and out of jail as related to different types of felonies, and eventually did what many people say that repeat offenders do in escalating their behavior to committing one final heinous crime that leads to them winding up in prison for the rest of their life. And sadly, Yasmin Williams wound up losing her life before she could actualize her potential. I mean, she graduated school and again got that book knowledge as related to education, but sadly didn't get any common sense, because many feminist indoctrinated women, yes, they get an education in school, but they don't get an education in life because they don't have that father there to teach them female life skills, nurture them, and give them guidance. Moreover, be able there to vet the men inside of their community so that they don't get involved with a Pookie, especially an old Pookie, because old Pookie ain't really about nothing. No, Pookie just has been running these streets for over 20 years and hasn't accomplished a single thing in life. And this is not a man you want to be a helpmeet to, because he can't even help himself. He can't even lead himself. And any man of character could look at this man and say, look, this is not the one to get involved with. This is not the one to be about. But a lot of women, what they do is they get in their feelings and think, oh, I sympathize with this man. I sympathize with this man's struggles. I'm going to try to help him out and fix him. And that covert contract is one that basically winds up never getting fulfilled because there's no way to fix this man. I talk about this in depth in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, that this man is hardwired by his mother, who who was his first teacher, and if the mother is broken, the son will be broken. So there is no fixing this man. No, there's no helping or fixing a 55-year-old man, because that man is hard set and hardwired in his ways. And with this old Pookie, he basically was so set and hardwired into committing crimes that he basically wound up committing this final crime, destroying the life of Yasmin Williams before she could actualize her potential. And that's the whole sad part about this whole story. This single, successful, well-educated black woman wound up a woman in crisis because she didn't get that guidance on how to vet men. And because she didn't get that guidance on how to vet men, or have men to go out here and help her be able to protect her from predatory men like this woman in crisis wound up getting involved with a man in crisis, and this whole situation turned out to be a great tragedy where a young woman lost her life, and lost her life because she didn't get that guidance on how to deal with men and avoid dealing with a man in crisis like this. Now, this whole situation, again, is quite troubling because it just shows how a life can just change in an instant. And again, why you have to be very vigilant when you're out here. You have to be very vigilant and take your life seriously, because you can end up losing your life to one of these, again, beta males like this. If you're a woman out here, if you don't know how to pick a man, what can sadly happen to you is you can get involved with a Pookie who is a man in crisis. Now, if you want to learn more about how beta males behave and how to avoid and identify these individuals and identify their dysfunctional behavior, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to learn how women wind up involved with guys like these Pookies like this and why they get jammed up, you can pick up my books, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single and The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com, along with The Man Crisis. And those two books will show you how women wound up on this road to a paradigm of failure and how they wind up getting involved with toxic men like this. And if you want to see me make more videos about The Man Crisis, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback. From the author of the critically acclaimed book, The Man Crisis, comes The Woman Crisis. Learn why so many women have become lost in their quest to have it all in The Woman Crisis. Get your copy of The Woman Crisis in paperback at Amazon.com and online booksellers today. Now available for the first time in paperback, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. Learn all the reasons why so many black women can't find a husband and why 70% of black women are single. Get your copy of Why 70% of Black Women Are Single on Amazon.com today. Support black-owned and black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.